Welcome sports fans, welcome back to another post-game analysis. No, it's not schoolboy football, it is the Jamaican Premier League. But this or that sports TV is still here, still on the ground, still doing the work. Anyways, in today's game, we had the main event of a doubleheader. Harbour faced off against Waterhouse, and what a cracker it was. You know, it was an amazing game, and I'm here to analyze it. But before we get into the post-game analysis, let's go through a quick recap. So the game started, it started pretty end-to-end. Both teams provided opportunities. Both teams were getting themselves into good chances. It was like a game of basketball going end-to-end. However, Waterhouse scored quickly in the 11th minute, and after that, it was somewhat the tables turned. The pendulum started to swing only in Waterhouse's direction, and they started to attack more and more until they broke through in about the 18th minute, getting their second goal. And by this time, it had seemed as though they became comfortable and they took their foot off the gas, and because of this, it gave Harbour a bit of energy towards the end of the first half, creating a few opportunities, getting a good amount of squares in, but not being able to capitalize. And at halftime, the score read Waterhouse 2, Harbour 0. Both teams came back out with intensity. Both teams came back out with the fervour to go forward and to play well. And we saw that in the beginning of the second half until about minute 55, Waterhouse got their third goal. That was from a defensive error. And I think at this point the game was absolutely killed off. From this point on to about the 80th minute, we saw Harbour lost all thirst. Four goal, all hunger to go forward, and Waterhouse kind of controlled the game to this point, going ahead, getting their fourth goal. Harbour did provide some goal threat towards the late embers of the game, but by this point, it was already game over. And at the final whistle, it was Waterhouse 4, Harbour 0. Now, as I said, this game, coming in was a highly touted game. Two historically great teams in the realm of Jamaican football, and both teams came out today with the mentality to go out and win. Until very recently, Harbour was undefeated, and they lost very recently, and I think they wanted to get themselves back on a winning record. They wanted to get themselves back to winning ways, and they thought that today would have been the day to do it. However, Waterhouse, with the addition of some young players, a key player to note, Romain Blake, after his schoolboy season, coming in and absolutely turning this Waterhouse team around. What a young talent he is, and I think that's why Waterhouse are playing so well after the schoolboy football break as compared to before it. Some key players, let's talk about that. Kemar Foster, their goalkeeper, he is absolutely outstanding. He's the backbone of this Waterhouse team, one of the best players in the Jamaica Premier League, recently getting his first international call-up, and he showed his value through and through, making some timely saves, not required to do any great acrobatics or make any super saves, where he was required from time to time to put himself in the right position, and that's exactly what he did. He also was exceptional at his feet, making brilliant passes to start the play and expressing some skills in the box, dismissing a Harbour striker while making a good outlet pass. So Kemar Foster was one of the standout players. I alluded earlier to Romain Blake, a 17-year-old that is playing in a man's competition, and he looks like he fits right in. This competition is for him, and he's definitely for this competition. He showed his excellent passing range, making all different types of passes in the backline of Waterhouse today. In addition to the fact that he was correct on every single tackle, not having to go to ground on one occasion because he was always able to make the tackle standing. He made one mistake early on, and I was like, would this be the moment that would cost him his confidence? Would this lead to more mistakes? But in that very moment, he recovered, he got the tackle, and from that point on, he was absolutely flawless. Romain Blake, as young as he is, he plays as mature as anyone else, and he's definitely one for the now and one for the future. An outstanding performance, and in our opinion, one of the players of the game today. Somebody else to note in this game, Ramon Howell, the captain, and I would say a sporadic to perennial national team player, being called up very, very frequently in the last couple of years. He was absolutely outstanding. Playing in a deep-lying central midfield role, he absolutely led from the front. Even though he was playing deeper than a forward, he led from the front. He played a very good game. He was very composed. He was very comfortable on the ball. He made passes forward, and he even chipped in with an amazing goal, opening the scoring with an absolute cracker. Like, What more can you ask from a leader? You know, from somebody who has the captain armband, somebody who Waterhouse expects a lot from, because he is their most experienced player and a nationally capped player, and he absolutely delivered on all accounts. On Harbourview's side, their captain Wellington, he was a presence. You know, I think they would have expected him to do better. You know, they expect everybody else to do better, but due to a few individual mistakes by the Harbourview team, it just was not their day. We spoke to Ludlow Bernard after the game, and he said what happened to this team is that they're becoming a bit too predictable, and as such they suffered 2 defeats. I think the addition of some players from the Manning Cup and the Costa Cup into these teams, you know, have balanced the scale, and some teams who weren't doing as well as they were doing, now after the Manning Cup and the Costa Cup is over, they have improved. And I think that's what we saw here with the addition of one such player, Romain Blake, who really put Waterhouse over the top today. But Waterhouse in general just comprehensively played a good game of football. You know, they capitalized on the Harbourview mistakes, which is ultimately what you have to do in football to get good results. And that's exactly what Waterhouse did today, comprehensively defeating them on all ends, winning all battles, making good substitutions, and just finishing the game practically before it even started. You know, a massive shout out to coach Marcel Gale, who absolutely outmanaged Bernard in this game. You know, they're both coaches of high pedigree, especially as it relates to local football, but Gale really came out today and showed his worth, you know, putting his team in the perfect positions to win, and his team executing his plan to the T. And at the end, it was Waterhouse 4 and Harbourview 0. Anyways, people, thank you so much for listening to our post-game analysis. But before you go, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and leave a comment. But most importantly, share the video to at least 10 people, but ensure to get us at least 6 subscribers. Because if each and every one of you guys can do that, you know how many subscribers that get us by the end of the day, people? Anyways, people, reporting to you guys from the Stadium East, I'm Jomar. And this was This or That Sports TV, and we're out.